I just found out they're selling my office chair on an internal auction site for $10. After 21 years. That's what my entire career is worth to them. $10 and a good luck email they didn't even let me read before they cut my access. I'm Sarah Miller. I'm 46 years old, and honestly, up until last Tuesday at 4:15 p.m. I thought I was part of a family. I know how that sounds now. It sounds so naive, but when you start at a company in your 20s, when you're there for the mergers, the layoffs where you were the one helping people pack their cars, the late nights where you're the last one to turn off the lights, you start to think you're woven into the fabric of the place. I was the director of operations. I knew where every cent went. I knew which vendors were overcharging us. I knew the passwords that the CTO forgot. I was the one who kept the engine running while the executives took 3-hour lunches and talked about synergy. Last month, we got a new VP of Human Resources, a guy named Marcus who wears suits that cost more than my first car. He's 32, he looks at me like I'm a piece of legacy hardware that's slowing down the operating system. He started asking for process audits, which is just corporate speak for show me how to do your job so I can give it to a kid making half your salary. I didn't mind at first. I'm a team player. I sat in those meetings. I showed him the proprietary filing systems I built from scratch. I showed him the vendor contracts I negotiated that saved the company $4 million a year. I thought I was being helpful. I thought I was securing my legacy. I didn't realize I was just handing him the rope. It's funny. I remember it was raining that Tuesday, and I had just bought a new succulent for my desk because I thought, I'm going to be here another 10 years, why not make it nice? Marcus called me into the glass conference room, the one everyone calls the fishbowl, and he didn't even look me in the eye, he just pushed a folder across the table and said, "Sarah, we're moving in a different direction, we'd like to offer you the chance to resign gracefully, rather than a termination." I remember looking at the clock, it was ticking so loudly. I asked him why. I asked what I had done wrong, and he just gave me this blank, terrifyingly professional smile and said, "It's just about cultural fit for the new era." He told me I had an hour to sign the resignation and the non-disparagement agreement, or I'd lose the severance package, 21 years, and they gave me 60 minutes to decide my entire future. I felt the blood drain out of my face, my hands were shaking so hard I had to sit on them. I didn't cry. I wouldn't give him that. I just looked at the paper, and then I looked at the little succulent through the glass, still in its plastic bag on my desk. Here's the thing Marcus didn't realize, because he's young and he thinks everything is stored in the cloud, he didn't realize that for 21 years. I didn't just manage the operations. I managed the secrets. I was the one who handled the discretionary fund for the CEO. I was the one who saw the invoices for the consultants that were actually just hush money payments for a sexual harassment suit 3 years ago that never made it to court. I kept those files because it was my job to protect the company. I was loyal. I was the vault. I signed the paper. I took my severance, and I walked out with my one little box, but what they didn't know, what Marcus didn't check, was that the proprietary software they used to track global shipping and logistics? The one I spent 3 years developing with an outside firm? I own the intellectual property rights to the core algorithm. Personally, it was a loophole in my original contract back in 2004 that no one ever bothered to update because no one thought I'd ever leave, and more importantly, no one thought I'd be smart enough to notice. The next morning, I didn't wake up and cry. I woke up and called my own lawyer, and then I sent a very short, very polite email to the board of directors. I didn't mention the hush money. I didn't mention the discretionary trips to Vegas. I just mentioned that as of 9 a.m., the licensing agreement for their core logistics platform had expired, and since I was no longer an employee, I wouldn't be renewing it. That's when something shifted, my phone started buzzing at 10:15. It was Marcus. I ignored it, then it was the CEO. I ignored that too, then, around lunch. I got a call from a private number, it was their lead counsel, a woman named Diane who usually sounds like she's made of ice, but her voice was trembling. She said, "Sarah, let's not be hasty. There must be a misunderstanding. We can talk about a consulting role. We can talk about a much, much larger exit package." I just sat on my porch, drinking coffee, listening to her go on about long-term partnerships. I remember thinking about that $10 office chair. I told her, "Diane, I'm sorry, but I'm just not a cultural fit for the company anymore. I'm moving in a different direction." She started talking about legal consequences, and I just laughed. It was the first time I'd laughed in weeks. I told her, "Check the 2004 addendum, and then have Marcus call me to apologize. Actually, tell Marcus not to call. I don't want to talk to subordinates." She's called me 14 times since yesterday. She left a voicemail an hour ago saying they're willing to offer me 7 figures just to sign over the IP rights. She sounded desperate. She said the whole shipping line is going to stall by Friday if the server doesn't get the handshake key. I haven't called her back. I think I'll wait until Friday afternoon, right around 4:15. Just so they know exactly how long an hour can feel when your life is hanging in the balance. They thought I was a piece of furniture. They forgot I was the one holding the floor up.